Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, April 12th, 2021, a commentary on verses 11 and 12 of Surat al-Baqara by Shaykh Mohamed Faouzi al-Karkari, Qaddasallahu sirrah. The believer is his brother's mirror. Al-Mu'minu mir'atu akhih. God says in verse 11 of Surat al-Baqara, "And when it is said to them, 'Do not work corruption in the land,' they say, 'We are only putting things right.'" This verse concerns the unbelievers. The Arabic reads, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. The Shaykh comments, those with sickness in their hearts are told not to work corruption in this land, which means the limbs of the body and the horizons that your soul has manifested around you as a reflection of what it harbors within it. Those who see goodness on those horizons have goodness within them. As the verse reads, "We shall show them our signs on the horizons and within themselves, until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق." Those with sickness in their hearts will see sickness on the horizons. Now, since this passage of the Quran is concerned with those who engage in duplicity and deception, those who suffer from inward ailments, it must be understood that these inward ailments also have external manifestations upon the horizons, or in the afaq, for that is where the true nature of your inner being is reflected. When a person complains that he seems to be surrounded by darkness, the darkness is actually within himself. Conversely, the one who sees beauty and goodness around him has them within himself. إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. And when it is said to them, "Do not work corruption in the land," the Shaykh comments, who is it that tells them this? It is their horizons, their bodily limbs, the circumstances that surround them. When their Muslim brothers, who are their mirrors, tell them not to work corruption in this land, they reply, "We're only putting things right. إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ." The one who contravenes God's law believes that he is doing something good, not evil. The sickness within him wishes to spread to others, and so it convinces him that he's a reformer who's putting things right with his words and deeds. This is why combating evil must begin with one's own soul, so that God may cure it of its sickness. Then this cure will pass to his external limbs and senses, then to those around him. If you become a handful of light, and your inner darkness and satanic attributes of pride, self-admiration, and envy are changed and eliminated, you will see none with you but the angels and the righteous. As long as you feel yourself surrounded by evil people and enemies, it means that this darkness is still rooted within you and must be remedied first. We have spoken about this before, about moving from the center to the circumference and back. If you do not apply this divine edict to yourself first, you cannot apply it to anyone else. If you have darkness within you, you will apply this darkness to everything else. You will project it out. If you have light, you will apply or project this light to everything and see it everywhere. You will understand the true meaning of Allahu Nuru Samawati wal Ard. God is the light of the heavens and the earth. If you then apply this to any individual, you will find him to be one of those names of God. Hence, the believer is his brother's mirror. You may find an individual who's always finding fault with his fellow Muslims, or with his fellow disciples, accusing each of them of some poor attribute or other, while deeming himself to be a pure handful of light, the epitome of righteousness, or indeed to be the real Shaykh. His inner darkness and self-deception is so strong that he comes to believe his own lies, and those around him in his sphere believe him too, and encourage him. The spiritual aspiration or the saintly ardor of the Shaykh manifests in his disciples. This is true whether he is a true Shaykh or not, a believer or not. Every group thinks that they are right and good, and that everyone else is wrong and evil. If your Lord grants you a vision of light, and you see it within yourself, you must strive to hold on to it and keep it with you. If you apply it to others and see beauty and mercy, and if you feel tranquility and peace, know that your Lord has saved you from the sickness of the heart. If you apply it to others and feel annoyed or disturbed by them, and feel that there is sickness around you, know that the sickness is from yourself. God says that the sickness is in their hearts, في قلوبهم مرض, not their outer limbs or faces. They appear to be righteous and well, yet they harbor sickness within them. The heart is what matters. The one who is sick does not know that he's sick, which is why he must find a Shaykh to diagnose and treat his sickness. This is what the mediator is for. He will not tell you directly what your ailment is, but will say, as Khalid said to Moses, إن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرى. If you follow me, do not question me about anything until I make mention of it to you. The Shaykh will show you how to recognize your ailments in the horizons that surround you. At first, when you recognize them, you will feel denial and contraction and try to flee from them. Whether you flee or not, you will know what your sickness is. Thus, God will fulfill the purpose of the Shaykh, which is to help you know yourself. The one who spreads corruption or works corruption but claims to be putting things right is the one who denies his sickness and flees from reality and seeks to disassociate from his true self and present a false version of himself to others. In one hand, he carries the Quran, and in the other, a vial of deadly poison. ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون. Truly, as verse 12 reads, they are the workers of corruption, but they perceive not. The plural they here symbolizes the faculties of such a person, his hearing, sight, hand, and other limbs, which manifest the true nature of what is within him. All of these are agents of corruption, yet they are immersed in heedlessness and do not realize their sickness. The person interacts with those for whom God has set a seal on their hearts, whether a seal of darkness or light. ختم الله على قلوبهم. Whatever the nature of the seal of the khatm, it will become manifest in the open. For example, the disciple went to the Shaykh and gave the Pledge of Allegiance and saw the light of God in his heart. Sometimes this light visited him, other times it faded into darkness. When he saw the light, he rejoiced in it. But when it faded and set, he did not say, I love not things that set, لا أحب الآفلين, as he should have done, but instead accepted the loss and the distance, because he had not engaged in self-rectification so that God would cast the light into his heart again. Then the darkness in his heart is reflected externally, just as the light was before, and he sees it in front of him in his deeds and movements, even in his Shaykh. This is something you learn in the tariqah, and you read it through like a recital, a reading, a qira'ah. When you first see the niche, it is not apparent to you that it contains a lamp, and there appears to be darkness in its center. Your true nature is reflected in the niche, and your sickness is delimited in it, within that dark center. And you must recognize this and work to cure it so that you may see the lamp inside the niche. If you allow the darkness to persist, it'll create corruption around you and turn you into a worker of corruption, a mufsid. When the lamp addresses you and tells you not to work corruption, you must not say to it, I am only putting things right. I am a muslih. If you truly were, the lamp and the glass would appear to you, and the resplendent planet al-Kawkab al-Durri would be represented before you, and the blessed tree would be kindled before you, and all directions would pass away from you, so that your light became kindled as if from out of nowhere. But instead you see a niche filled with darkness. Some disciples who are interested in matters of science say that they have visions of a black hole, as if they have ascended to outer space and witnessed that cosmological phenomenon. But what is it that a black hole does? It absorbs the star, as if it were swallowing up your guidance. وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. By the star when it sets, your companion has not strayed, nor has he erred. Do not suppose that such a vision means that you've ascended to the first heaven. For God says, and when the heaven is cleft and turns crimson like red hide, فَإِذَا انشَقَّتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ وَرْدَةً كَالدِّهَانِ. When the first heaven is cleft, there will be no black holes. The black hole swallows up everything. And if you have sickness inside you like a black hole, it will swallow up your star and your lamp, the lamp of guidance, so that you are utterly whelmed in sickness and darkness. If you held out your hand in front of you to return to guidance, you would not be able to see it, for you would be totally overpowered. As the verse reads, when he holds out his hand, he can scarcely see it. لَا يَكَادُ يَرَاهَا. Let's work back to the verse. Truly they are the workers of corruption, but they perceive not. أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. This is not something you can perceive on your own, even if it persists at all times. This is why you must strive to hold on to the star of guidance, the gleam of light, and not underestimate it or dismiss it as a mere speck of light. For God says, whoever does an atom's weight of good shall see it. مَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. You must apply it to your outer limbs and faculties so that it becomes action and does not remain only witnessing, so that it manifests in sight, hearing, speech, and grasping. then God will show you the blessing of this speck of light in your horizons, as well as in your eternal life in the hereafter. وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ, but they perceive not. This is why you must be like a corpse in the hands of your Shaykh, as the saying goes, silent and yielding, not bringing your complaints about your personal life to him. What I want from you is to bring down the light and apply it to your heart, then search within it. That is all. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد.